Elegance is an attitude. Rings a bell? Yes, I'm talking about Longines, and on today's podcast, I'm discovering the rich history and heritage of this 200-year-old brand with Daniel Hug, Head of Brand Heritage. Did you know when was the first Longines watch bought by a customer in India? It was more than 140 years ago. Surprised? I too was. Hello and welcome to Luxe Insider with me, your host Anita Khatri. Today we are in Delhi and we are at Imperial Hotel which has legacy. It has history and right place for discovering heritage of the brand Longines.
So thank you, Daniel, for fabulous presentation. It was so interesting that it convinced me that in my collection, I should definitely add Longines. Already, I have one, but it belongs to my husband. It's not my own.
Great to hear that. And of course, we have a wide choice. I think that could appeal to you. And you have to convince your husband that he will gift you
another one. Yeah, sure. No, I gifted him a Longines. Now he has to gift me a Longines.
Yes, that is a good concept.
Give me 5 adjectives which will describe the customer of Longines. Any 5 adjectives.
We are in the lucky position that we have about 50% females and 50% males as clients, which is quite unique in the watch world. So the customer might be very elegant. Elegance is an attitude, is one of our claims. So it appeals to many ladies to have something elegant, precious. On the same time, we have lines that are very sporty, very resistant, very robust, accurate watches because we have over 100-year experience in sports timing, professional sports timing. And this kind of watches appeal to the sporty man, the man that is a pioneer, that likes adventures, that likes special experiences, and wants to have a watch that is resisting everything he's doing during his day, his week, his holidays, and so on.
So basically it is elegant, adventurous, sporty, accuracy.
Accuracy, precision is also very important.
5 words if I had to put it, yes. This is what it is. Now, when it comes to the heritage, I thank you to you. You took us already to certain information about India, the history of Longines with India. Would you be in a position to narrate any stories, because you had a campaign, but which is the oldest watch in India, held by whom?
The interesting thing is that we started very early to sell watches in India, as early as 1878.
1878, you were already selling watches in India?
In India. That's very early. We sold also some watches in Asia very early, like in China, because the founders of Longines, they went very early international. Switzerland is a very small country, and watch production was far more than just supplying Swiss customs with watches. What we produced was meant for more an international market. So they had to reach out for new markets. They went east to Asia, to Arabic countries, and they went west to other European countries and the United States. So from right early onwards, Longines was heading for international markets. And that explains maybe why we were so early in India as well. Now, for the oldest watch that we found in India, in a contest that we did 10 years ago, we found one from an owner in Mumbai who had a nice silver pocket watch from 1884.
1884, He has a pocket watch. Okay.
He had a pocket watch. So this watch is now 140 years old. And the amazing thing is that this watch is still in working condition, although it has never undergone any repairs, just servicing. And that speaks for the quality of a Longines watch.
And can you tell us the name of the person who owns this?
The name of the person is Khurshid Poonawala.
When you discovered this, what was how did you feel? I mean, to say this is very old watch, and in spite of being 150 years old, it has been ticking day and night without any repair. It talks
it's
so
amazing.
much about the accuracy and the precision of the movement.
You are right. What I always found very interesting is in what context the watch has been used. For what reason? Why did this man had this watch?
Correct.
And the history there is that the watch has been brought by an Englishman to India who was offering a training for young Indians how to operate a locomotive, how to operate trains.
Okay.
And he was educating local young men as locomotive drivers.
Okay.
And before he returned back to England, he gifted this watch to his best friend in India. And that was
the best
the grandfather.
Was this Poonawala?
Yes.
The best friend. Okay.
He was educated, or his grandfather was educated as a locomotive driver at that time. So he kept the watch and he transferred it to his son and through generations. And so the watch is still in the family's hand.
Fabulous. Any more such stories in India?
Another outstanding story, I think, is that Longines conceived a special watch for Indian military pilots in the 50s. And
1950s.
Yes, 1950. And this watch got the nickname the Big Indian because it's a huge watch with a case of 44 millimeter diameter.
Okay.
It's huge, but you understand it somehow if you imagine how it was inside in a cockpit of the airplanes of this time. There is a lot of vibration, and you can't even hold your arm quietly, and it's always shaking a little bit. So it's difficult to read precise time on a small dial. That's why they opted for a large dial on a big watch.
It's called the Big Indian watch, but why is it called? It's Big Indian pilot. It's
big Indian because the watch is so big, not because the pilot is big.
Correct. But why was it named? Is it a special edition that was created for India?
Yes, this watch was only delivered to India,
so
to no other country.
Special order.
It was a government order.
Government order, okay.
The specifications were set by the government.
Okay.
So they said it must be readable during the night as well. And that's the reason why they put some radium marks on the dial and on the hands, on the minute hand, the hour hand, and on the second hand, which is quite exceptional.
It's amazing to know that in 1950, Indian government actually placed an order with Longines as a brand. That business was even then happening, not only when, because
it was after independence of India.
Yeah, sure. You know, why I'm saying this, David, because, Daniel, sorry. I'm saying this because it was only after 2000 that Swiss watch could be officially brought into India, and the business started flourishing post that. Swatch Group, of course, was established around 1999 in India, 1999 or 2000. But we are talking about, so business picked up, you know, the relationship about the Swiss watch exports started only post that. And we are talking about 1950 Indian government already placing an
You know
order,
why?
which is fabulous. This is a great story.
Because that was not a commercial offer. This watch was not on sale in a normal watch boutique. It was
Specially designed.
a special government order for military purpose. And it was absolutely not commercial.
True.
I have also to say that Longines produced 2 series, but they were small series that we did for India. So there were not thousands of these watches. There were some hundreds, but not. It was a small batch of production.
In that, besides the large size because of the readability, because the pilot can read it, other than that, you explained to me about accuracy. It was the 1/10 of the second that.
No, not this one, but the movement inside was a very accurate movement, the caliber 15.68.
Okay.
It was so accurate that Longines supplied this watch movement once to the observatory of Neuchâtel to participate in a contest of very accurate watches. So the caliber 1568, which you find also in the famous pilot's biotech watch that we produce for the Czech pilots, was one of the larger movements and with a very high accuracy.
Fabulous, Daniel, for sharing with us such an interesting, even I'm discovering this story only today. I've been in the industry for so long, but didn't know about this. This is fabulous. Thank you for that. If I may say that, history plays a very important role in the brand's life cycle. And legacy in history is important for consumer who would appreciate quality and that legacy that has been achieved by the brand. But today's youth, how do you speak to the youth? Do you think youth today value that history?
I feel that there is a great interest to know the origins of something, of an object or a brand. And that's why I think the legacy of a brand, the heritage, is still important. In respect also that we draw a lot of inspiration from our past. Longines has such a rich history and such I would say, a history full of inventions and creativity that we can still profit today in terms of inspiration for new watches. That doesn't mean that we try to do a 100% copy of the old watch. It's more in the way that we take the important elements or aesthetical codes of a watch that we produced in the past, and we use it today in a more modern way, in a modern interpretation of what we did in the past. But if it comes to complications, to special functions of a watch, the past can still help us today with giving some inspiration. And I see that even younger people, they have a renewed interest in watches because this generation uses a lot of time. They like the social medias. Now, if you ask yourself, what do they present on an Instagram account? Do they present there a smartwatch, an Apple Watch? Probably not, because that's a generic object. Millions of pieces of the same pieces are everywhere. It's not interesting to make a post with a smartwatch. Everyone has one. But it's more interesting to do it maybe with a vintage watch, because each vintage watch, mechanical watch, has its own history. You don't find 2 watches that aged on the same way, because it depends how it have been used, what the owner did with the watch. So the color might have been a little bit changed over time because it was exposed to sun rays. Some people kept it in a drawer. The dial will look differently. Each watch has its individual history. And these watches are far more interesting to show on social media than a smartwatch. And I see a growing tendency among younger people that are directed to this type of watches again.
I totally buy this and I agree on this 100% because some time ago when the smartwatch revolution took place, it was a question mark for the entire Swiss watch industry. Is this going to be a 1970 quartz moment crisis again? But today, what we are experiencing for the last 1.5 to 2 years, the watches are only demand for mechanical watches is only increasing and is growing. And contrary to what we believed or what we were fearful of, that, Apple Watch or a smartwatch would actually reduce an impact on the mechanical watch, is going the other way around. And you are so correct in saying that.
Exactly, you're right. I remember that the designer of Apple, Jonathan Ive, he said when they launched the Apple Watch, he said that will be the death of the Swiss watch industry. Now, if I look today on the situation in the world markets, I have to say that the United States, the market for the Apple Watch, the most important market, that's where the Apple Watch has been created, is today the largest market, the most important market for Swiss watches.
There you go, yes.
The United States surpassed China as leading market for Swiss watches even. And I mean, that explains how the Swiss watch industry dealt with
smartwatches. I totally, yes.
I don't want to say that it's useless, or I don't want to critique smartwatches. They can be very useful. They track your fitness, your heartbeat. They are for sports activities. They might be very useful. There is just one thing that they will not do. They are not built for a 100 years lifespan.
Absolutely.
A mechanical watch in the quality that Longines is producing has a lifespan of about 100 years. A smartwatch tends to be obsolete in about 5 years because the software changes, or you don't have enough memory, or your screen is not good enough. So it's not an object that you pass through generations.
Yes.
And if I would imagine a wedding and the husband is gifting his wife a smartwatch, she probably will not be very happy with this gift, because she wants something where she can remember on this important day in her life in a very good sense, in a very good manner.
And here comes the history and the heritage and the legacy.
Exactly. And so this gift should have a lifespan of more than 5 years,
Right. In fact, Longines is more than 200 years old brand, right?
Exactly, yes.
Now, what's the story behind the interesting logo that we see of the hourglass with the wings?
Yes, our logo is the winged hourglass. And sometimes I have been asked, the logo you find on movements already in 1867, sometimes I've been asked, were they thinking already about aviation, about airplanes when they put wings on the hourglass? And then I have to say, no, it was not like this. But this symbol has a philosophical meaning. It means time flies. Time is a continuum. Nobody is capable of stopping time. So you should use your time in a meaningful way as long as you live.
As they say, time is the most precious gift that you can get.
Exactly.
That's what it stands for.
Yes.
So if I may ask you, historically it was first Longines created the pocket watches. Was it the pocket watch which came first or the wristwatch came first? You have any idea?
Longines did the first pocket watches, but without a chronograph mechanism. The first chronograph caliber came in 1878. And Longines did it in a very accurate, high precision way. So that's the reason why it has been widely used afterwards to time horse races.
Yes, that's about the equestrian relation.
Yes. At that time, basically all the production of Swiss watch brands were pocket watches.
Pocket watches. This is
the wristwatch comes much later.
Sure.
Much later.
When did this, by any chance, you know? I thought it was around 1910 when the wristwatch...
Longines produced the first wristwatch in 1902.
1902, okay.
And the fashion to wear a wristwatch came from the ladies.
Yes.
They started very early to wear watches on the wrist because they liked highly decorated watches with diamonds, with precious stones. And it was an object of nearly jewelry. And the men, they were keeping their pocket watch inside their vest because they thought it's not appropriate to expose a watch on the wrist. It's far too dangerous.
Okay.
Probably also because they didn't...
Was it because of the priced item?
Because of moisture, because of rain, because of dust, because of shocks. Probably women moved a bit more carefully than men and paying more attention to the watch. But the fashion that men were wearing the watch on the wrist in majority came long after World War I.
Yes, long war.
World War I was a sad thing, but it learned a lot of men, a lot of soldiers to wear a watch on the wrist instead of having a pocket watch because
correct.
It was not very appropriate to always first grab your watch out from your pocket and then look at the time. You lose a lot of time.
Sure.
And then afterwards it came more into fashion. But one thing that was difficult was a lot of watch producers hadn't the small movement for a wristwatch. They were producing the large movements for the pocket watch.
Pocket watches. Okay.
And not very tiny little movements, for instance, for ladies' watches and for wristwatches afterward. Yeah. Elegant ladies' watches with tiny little mechanical movements. We produced the first square-shaped watch in 1912, the first rectangular watch for ladies in 1916.
The watch which you displayed here is how old? The square watch with diamonds?
1912.
That's the one. That's a piece that is displayed.
1912.
Okay.
And the first rectangular watch with a rectangular movement inside, 1916.
Fabulous. From whatever information you've had and the contest you had also in India, what is Indian consumers like what collection? Are they having different choices, or do you feel that in India round works, square works? What works?
India is famous for people loving gold.
Okay.
They treasure gold as an asset. They like watches with a gold case, massive gold case. The other thing is that Indians like colors. They are more in colors than consumers in other countries. And if I look at our sales, I see that they like also elegant watches.
Okay.
So the Grand Classic is one of the best sellers in India.
Grand Classic,
Dolce Vita is doing very well in India. And then the Hydro Conquest, the sports watch that you can use for diving, is also doing very well in India.
That was all from my conversation with Mr. Daniel Hug, straight from the Longines event in Delhi. I hope, just like me, you also discovered some lesser known facts from the brand's rich history and heritage. I also happened to review a piece from Longines that's now on my wish list. Stay tuned for the next episode to know which watch am I talking about. See you soon.